So we're on our way, big meeting today. This has probably been like 3 months in the making, right? Captain Permit. I'm meeting up with 3 Allstate agents, Christina Shaw, who is an absolute powerhouse in basically every aspect of life. Love her to death, grew up with her playing kickball in the street on Riverside Drive. So she owns the Allstate agency in Wantagh. Tom Whalen, ex-partner of hers, owns the one on Merrick Road in Belmore. And then Paul Della Universita, I think I got that right. It's like a sonnet, it's a song, it's a symphony. Owns the one in Deer Park. He's actually building a sick new office on DPA. So the 3 of them, my buddy Adam Heller, who owns the Heller Consulting Tax Grievance Company, are getting together, and Captain Permit, are getting together to build this website called Lotus Quotes, right? So what Lotus Quotes is a free resource, online resource to, anybody basically in the real estate world. So realtors can really benefit from it, mortgage brokers, homeowners, etc. Anybody that gets involved in the home buying process. And what it is you type in the address and the MLS number if you have a listing, and instantly you're gonna get 3 emails. First, you're gonna get an email from Allstate that gives you an accurate flood insurance and homeowner's quote, right? So right before when you're figuring out your mortgage, people don't really buy a house or buy a number, they buy a monthly payment. So when you're figuring out your mortgage, you need to know what your insurance is gonna be, what your taxes are gonna be, and what your principal and interest is going to be. So this takes the guesswork out of that for mortgage professionals and for the people themselves who are more astute in figuring out what they can afford on a monthly basis. Then you're going to get an email back from Adam Heller, who's going to tell you he's going to do a free analysis of your house. Everybody knows there's going to be a new assessment this year for taxes all across Long Island, but especially Nassau County. So if you should be grieving your taxes every single year. And if you have a house in Nassau County, odds are you're overassessed. You're paying way more than you should be. So what he's gonna do is he's gonna do a free analysis, and he's gonna generate a letter and send it to you saying, okay, you're currently assessed at this, but we think we can get you down to this. So your current taxes are $15,000 a year. We feel confident we can get you down to roughly $13,000 a year, right? Then you can start the grieving process. If you're selling a house, it's a very, very powerful thing, because now if someone doesn't want to buy a house that has an excess of X amount of dollars with the taxes, or their DTI, or they can only afford X amount of dollars a month, if they see this attached to the listing, it makes the house a lot more saleable, because now people know, what, my taxes are going to go down to somewhere in this range in 12 or 18 months from now. I'm going to have a different mortgage payment. I can afford this house. Right, that's a great thing. For me, from an investor, I've bought rental properties that had higher taxes on them because Adam told me beforehand that he's gonna be able to give the taxes down. So I take it on the chin for 18 months. Then I get a check sent back to me from the county, and my taxes drop and my mortgage payments drop. So it's a win-win. On the Captain Permit front, we supply a free service to the realtors where if you have an MLS listing, we're going to do a free CO search for you. So what does that mean? We're going to go into the building department. It's real. The building department doesn't know we're doing it. It doesn't set off any alarms. No one's going to come to the house, nothing like that. We pull the files there. We go in and pull the files, and we see what are the open permits? Are there missing permits? What is closed out? So we're going to generate a report, and we're going to send it to you within X amount of days saying, listen, okay, so-and-so realtor is selling Mrs. Smith's house in Levittown, what's going on? So we're gonna pull it up, and it's gonna show, okay, Mrs. Smith has a CO for the house, great, she has a CO for the garage, that's it, right? Or they have an open permit from 1966 for the deck or the dormer that her father and her uncle decided to build on a Saturday one weekend over a 12-pack of Budweiser. Those kind of things. This way, nobody gets paid unless these transactions close, right? So there's nothing worse, and I'm sure every realtor that's watching this is going to agree, that you've worked so hard, you've worked with the seller, or you've marketed the hell out of a house, you've done a phenomenal job, you're about to get paid, you could smell it, you could taste it, you're taking that vacation, and the attorney gives you a call and says, can't close, got an open permit on the deck. Who do you call? Captain Permit. But if you went to Lotus Quotes originally, right when you took the listing, you'd be armed with the CO search, you'd be armed with your insurance quotes, and you'd be armed with a tax grievance assessment. That also puts you at another level. If you're a real estate professional, your network is who you are. So if you can go to these people and you can say, hey, I have a comprehensive network of people, they include Captain Permit, Allstate, and Adam Heller. here are all the things that we do for you, and this is just a sample of my team and what we can do. You're gonna get a lot more listings, you're gonna make a lot more money, you get a lot more traction. So Lotus Quotes, coming soon. People, you call them up, say, hey, listen, I see you've been using the site. That's awesome. Like, you know, I'm curious to know, as Christina from Allstate, or, you know, what can I do to offer you more service to, you know, to work with you more, because I really want to work with you.
Should literally just have this toolbar where you put in an address, and I did like his like logo and that whole Lotus look. I think that should be like down here somewhere.
So we're on our way out to Port Jeff Station to take a look at a house that we have under contract that we're going to be purchasing. We're going to meet my foreman, Leo. Leo is a day one guy, like I mean like straight up day one guy. So the first house I ever flipped is in Massapequa Park about like 6 years ago, and I had hired a general contractor at the time, and it was half a disaster. But Leo was there, and he had hired Leo to come in and do some carpentry work. So I met Leo, and it was just like, it was kind of like, you know, love at first sight, that's it. To kind of explain my relationship with Leo, like I don't know anything about construction, right? I'm gonna let that out. Like, I don't really know a lot about a lot of things. I just kind of do them, and then they work out. There's a certain amount of education behind it, but I just kind of like, you know, grab them and jump. So there's a movie called Biker Boys. I watch a lot of cheesy movies. Typically, I go to see them by myself. Like, for all of you who remember Honey, that movie Honey, I went to see that by myself. I think it's like a hereditary thing. Like, my father's favorite movie is Drumline, you know, where they like, yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. So I guess it's like a genetic thing. We're into cheesy movies. There's a movie called Biker Boys, right? To make a long story short, there's three main characters. There's a guy who's, I forgot his name, he's like Morgan Freeman, but he's not really Morgan Freeman. He's the other Morgan Freeman when Morgan Freeman isn't in the movie. There's this guy, Lawrence Fishburne. Bang. All right. Lawrence Fishburne, there's his best friend, and then the best friend's son. Lawrence Fishburne is like this motorcycle idol. Like, everybody idols him. He's a motorcycle racer. He holds the title in California for fastest drag, whatever it is. He street races. And his best friend is a mechanic, his mechanic. And then there's the son, the mechanic's son. The mechanic's son wants to race. He's younger. And his father, the mechanic, ends up dying standing on the sidelines getting hit with a motorcycle during a motorcycle race. And there's a scene in the movie where the kid screams at Lawrence Fishburne and says, you know, my father died following you around. He wasted his whole life following you around. And Lawrence Fishburne turns to him and says,
just so you know, kid, Slick Will worked on my bike, said I should race, I raced. When he worked on my ride, said I should lay low, I did so. He didn't follow me around. I followed him.
And that's exactly how I feel about Leo. What I would really like to do, but you tell me what you think, I would really like to get rid of this wall, because if we get rid of the wall, yeah, if we get rid of the wall, it's going to be huge open space. We're gonna do flooring wise, but like I guess from the stairs all the way up into the bedrooms, do carpet in the basement. We're just gonna really like have to watch the budget on this thing. So we're in Port Jeff Station outside a house that I'm under contract with. I'm gonna be purchasing soon. Ironically, this is an REO. I say ironically because typically I don't buy bank-owned properties, and everyone thinks, oh, you wanna invest in real estate, banks just give properties away, you wanna buy REOs, you wanna buy REOs. On the contrary, typically REOs are very, very overpriced. There's really no money in them. This one actually just happened to work out that way. This is a bank-owned property. I just met Leo, the foreman inside, went over everything. I'm very, very lucky. I have a great crew, so what I do is I give him a high-level overview of everything we're gonna do. We close on the property next week. He gets the keys, and I never see the house again. He coordinates all the subcontractors. Everybody comes in, does the trades, does what they have to do, My team oversees the entire process until it's done, market ready, it's put on the market, and then sold. So I see it before, I do the analysis, I make the offer. Once I get the property, I come in with Leo, I give him a top-down overview of what to do, and I'm on to the next one. That's really the only way that you can scale and do volume in a business. If you have to do it all on your own, or you have to manage these guys on your own, you're limited as to what you can do because you're limited how much time you have. I'm super blessed. He is as ride or die as you can possibly get. Just a kind of example of that, of something that happened this weekend. It's Saturday, I'm out east looking at properties. It's 5:30 at night, my phone rings, it's Leo. Boss, we got a problem. I'm in Hempstead at the new two-family that was on last week's vlog. Kids broke in the house, they're smoking weed. The neighbor called me, I ran over here and they just ran out of the house. As he's telling me the story, the phone goes like, and he's gone. I'm like, Leo. 5 minutes later, the phone rings again, it's Leo. So the kids ran, left the house, left a joint in the house, came back 5 minutes later with bats, tried to beat his ass on the front step. He had to run. They went back in, couldn't find the joint, left. Leo calls the cops. I fly over there. Cops haven't showed up. I call the cops. Cops finally show up. The kids come back right before the cops do. I'm like, yo, boys, cops are coming. They look at me, they're like, we don't care. They're like 13, 14, 15 years old. I'm thinking, if this was me at 15 years old, my father, I never would have saw the light of day again other than to go to school and come home. That's pretty much it. The cops show up. They grab him. They come back. They're like, all right, what's your phone number? You know, if it happens again, we'll call you. I'm like, we have video of them in the house. Like, we have a joint here. Like, what is this? What if I want to press charges? You want to press charges? What if I want to press charges? I'm trying to keep it so that every window in your house doesn't get broken out. I'm like, so that's what you're telling me? He's like, if you guys have these guys arrested, they're going to break every window in your entire house. I'm like, great. So would it help if we gave him the joint back? He's like, oh, I'll give him the joint back. I'm like, so Leo, being the diplomat that he is, takes the joint, walks down the block, has a conversation with the guy, and says, listen, do me a favor, don't go in the house, here's your joint. And the guy's like, oh, I can't control my friends. He's like, listen, we know that you run this block. We know the kids look up to you. The kid starts laughing and says, okay, I won't. And then as Leo's walking away, he's like, oh, by the way, I took care of your house. And Leo's like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, me and my 6 friends were in the house earlier today having boop, 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 with 6 girls in the bathroom tub, and we cleaned everything up real nice before we left.